After this video, every marketing guru on YouTube is gonna hate me because I'm gonna give away for free what these guys are literally charging thousands of dollars for every single month. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to scale an ad account to some significant amount of spend. I'm talking over $200,000, okay? See, every single Meta ads video online is gonna tell you this. Launch one campaign, throw a bunch of ads in it, do a CBO, test, find your winning messaging, and then just scale. And what happens when you just scale? You're gonna hit a wall. Your cost per lead is gonna spike up, your lead quality will go to literally zero, and you're gonna be left wondering what's actually going wrong in your ad account. And guess what shows up then? Their $5,000 course. Now, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna give you away everything that I've learned from spending over $250,000 on Meta's platform, okay? From months of trial and error and spending money, losing money as well, to generating consistently a 3 to 4x ROAS for my clients, so generating over $700,000 on Meta. Now look, most advertisers are just gonna make some tech billionaires riches, but I'm gonna show you how to flip this scale. I will show you how you can be the one profiting. And I will show you what horizontal scaling is and the exact KPIs that I use to get full control over my ad account and to consistently 3 to 4x what I'm putting in on Meta. Now pull up a pen and the paper because this year is gonna be game changing. See, most media buying gurus are just gonna tell you, okay, do one campaign, select campaign budget optimization. So essentially let Meta optimize what creatives are gonna get your spend, then do one ad set. At the ad set level, you're just gonna select your targeting or you're just gonna go completely broad and then duplicate out 25 different ads, okay? And give them different creatives. So you're gonna basically have one campaign, one ad set and 25 creatives in there. What I also gonna tell you is something like do one campaign and then do one ad set with a lookalike audience, another one with a broad audience and another one with an interest tag. So essentially that means that at the audience level, you can select who you're targeting. Now here's exactly why after spending over $250,000 on Meta, I saw this strategy absolutely suck. Look, we're gonna delete this because the truth is you shouldn't test different audience levels at the ad sets level. You should experiment between broad, lookalike, and interest tags, in my opinion, because Meta already does the targeting for you. And broad targeting, nearly in 99% of the cases where I've tested it and I've split tested it, I've actually spent money on that for different clients, okay? And the broad audience targeting nearly always won. So here's what you should do instead. A strategy that I call horizontal scaling, okay? So you're not scaling vertically, you're scaling horizontally. And I will show you exactly how this works. So you're essentially gonna duplicate out your ad sets and you're gonna have something like, let's say 4 different ad sets, okay? So overall, 4 different ad sets, I'm gonna delete one. And then what you're actually gonna do at the ad set level, you want to select a broad targeting still. So that you're essentially still digging into the same broad audience, but you're selecting your targeting through your messaging. Because essentially what happens after Meta Andromeda is that you're creative. So over here, your ad is gonna determine your targeting. And I'm gonna show you exactly what that means right now based on the articles that are actually coming from Meta's database. Now look, here's how Meta actually wants you to design your campaigns. You just gotta look really at the tech side of things and don't get confused here. If you understand this, you will actually know more than 99% of the marketing gurus online, okay? So Meta's Andromeda Retrieval layer does the following. You're gonna have all your eligible ads over here, all your ads in one campaign, in one ad set, all your different ads, okay? And Meta is gonna group them by color. So let's say these ads that I've marked here, okay, on black, they are all green ads. Why are they green ads? Because they target a certain green persona. And as you can see over here, this will be, for example, person number 1. Age is more or less 28 years old, interests, hiking, travel, coffee. Okay, this is one person. Now my other ads, for example, over here, they all target person number 2. They are blue ads and they target a person who's interested in fitness, yoga, and health. Now, how do we know this interests? Because Meta's algorithm, maybe you've seen this when you've been scrolling on Instagram, is basically assigning you different interest fields based on your scrolling behavior, on all the data points that you have, on all the reels that you watch, on all the videos you watch, on all the videos you like, on your social interactions with other profiles with other accounts, okay? And let's say profile number 3, as you can see over here, are other ads. These are the purple ads, and they target a person who's 41, interests, tech, gaming, music. Definitely a different person. Now, the exact same thing is true for ads. If you want to target lawyers, then lawyers over here would be another person, okay? Then if you want to target doctors, doctors here would be another person. Obviously, Meta knows exactly what we're doing based on the content that we're watching. This is how the entire algorithm works. Now, why do we separate these ads from each other? Simply because, as I said, if we put all these ads with different messaging inside one ad set, inside of one campaign, the algo is gonna jump from lawyer to doctor, to person interested in fitness, to person interested in tech. Essentially, it's gonna have no clear image of who you actually want to target. And your targeting, this is so crucial to understand. Your targeting is done at the ad set level. But in this case, your creative is your targeting. Okay, so what does it actually mean? If you want to have a clear targeting, and if you want to the algo to double down on one person, on one persona, to get you the cheapest costs, okay, to really bring a series, because what a lot of people don't realize is that Meta is gonna bring a series of different ads in front of this person. Let's say my campaign would be completely messed up, and I would have ads targeting lawyers, ads targeting doctors, ads targeting fitness coaches, or whatsoever in there. Then it's gonna show one person, for example, a fitness coach ad, another person a doctor ad, another personal lawyer ad, because what we call ad sequences are extremely present in Meta's new Andromeda targeting, that it's going to show people a bunch of series out of this one ad set to essentially get the lowest cost. And on top of that, your algo is simply going to jump around from this person to this person. Your CPMs are going to spike up, okay, so your cost per millis. Your click-through rates are going to go through the bottom, okay? They will decline heavily, and you're just going to be left wondering why you get a bunch of shit and broke and weird leads. So to give you a bit more clarity on that, the ad set level that I was talking about is this thing here, okay? And essentially our ads over here, so when I do, for example, let's say 10 different ads, they should all more or less target the same person, have the same idea / concept. So these are basically concept ad sets or idea ad sets that target the same person on the one concept. So for example, what I love to do, we're currently working with someone in the Amazon BizOps space, teaching others how to scale their Amazon business. So this one would be, for example, the concept would be concept number 1, for example, Amazon seller. This is my person. We already targeting people who are selling on Amazon, and my concept would be something like struggling to find suppliers. Okay, struggling to find suppliers, and this would be my main targeting here. And then I'm gonna craft different creatives in different formats with different hooks generally to target this one person. So one hook could be, okay, so if you're an Amazon seller, you're below 50K a month in revenue, and you're struggling to find suppliers. Listen up. Another hook could be, so you're still trying to reach out to all these mega suppliers and you're wondering why you get ghosted. Or another hook could be, finding Amazon suppliers literally feels like finding the needle in the haystack for you right now, right? So basically a bunch of different hooks that I can use for this main person, and a bunch of different pain points and dream points that I can use for this one main persona. See, now at this point, you should understand how to actually do concept ad sets and how to horizontally scale them. Now here's what's gonna happen if you just do a CBO, a campaign budget optimization, do one ad set and slap all your ads in there. You're gonna get something like 1 or 2 winners from Meta. Now what most gurus are gonna teach you is to scale your account gradually, which is correct, by something like 10 to 30%, okay? So you would scale this campaign by 10 to 30% every single time. Now, at some point, let's say this might happen at $5,000 daily spend or whatsoever on this campaign, right? This really depends on your messaging, on how niche you are within those ads. These 2 winners are gonna fatigue. Fatigue means your CPMs, your cost per millis, your cost per impressions are gonna spike up. Why? Because you're fishing in the same spot and your ads already got in front of that same persona. As I showed you, Meta basically groups your ads by creative. Now, if the creative stays the same, you're gonna always fish in that same pot. So think about person 1 who was interested in coffee, hiking, and so on. We're always gonna target this person, and at some point we're gonna exhaust it, especially if we are more niche. Generally, you should be more niche, and your click-through rates will also decline because these people have already seen your ads. They are fatigued. They won't click on it. Okay. Now, this is going to cause your cost per click to spike up. So your cost per click is going to spike up, and your cost per result, so whatever you're optimizing for, if this is an opt-in, if this is a, so let's say a complete registration, or if this is a lead, or if this is a booked call, this is going to spike up as well. So essentially the 2 winners that you had in this one campaign can literally go from $5,000 spent, and let's say this maybe has generated you a $15,000 ROAS, to literally 0, because suddenly your winners are fatigued and they aren't working anymore. So vertical scaling means exactly that you literally just have one ad set and you're gonna scale this one to the moon. Now I'm gonna show you what horizontal scaling means. Horizontal scaling is how you actually scale an ad account to over $250,000 in spend. Okay, think about it like a real estate portfolio. You don't only have one investment that you're gonna scale to the moon. You're gonna have a bunch of different investments, a bunch of different messaging and ad concepts that target different people with a lot of spend, so that you have basically different pillars that your entire ad account is built on. Okay, now this allows you to scale this ad set, to scale this ad set, to scale this ad set, to scale this ad set. Now, if one of these ad sets doesn't work anymore, so let's say this one has fatigue, we're gonna simply put the spend on the other ad sets and launch a new ad set and scale this one. Okay, and our entire spend, so let's say 25% of our spend was on this, and the other 75% were on the other three assets over here. Then even if this asset here fatigues, okay, so 25% of our spend suddenly go from, let's say, a 3x ROAS to something like a 1.3x ROAS, then our entire account ROAS is still gonna be something like 2.5 to 3x, because of these other three assets carrying here, okay? So we are essentially way more stable, we have way more security, and we can sustainably scale our spend, okay? Because we aren't just gonna be dependent on one or two ads, we will make our entire account scale based on 10 to even 12 different creatives that are all targeting more or less different personas. That means they aren't basically working against each other. So look, when scaling, you should never, ever rely on guesswork, which is why we build out something like a financial model calculator. This one is literally built with Claude Code, nothing even lovable, but essentially you can just build this out, okay? And this helps you so much. You're just gonna plug in your average data that you currently have from ad campaigns or even from organic. Obviously, with cold, it's going to be a bit different, but just launch one campaign, launch two campaigns, look at your average close rate, okay? Look at your average call show up rate. This is very realistic. At your average landing page booking rate, we can even make it a bit lower. And at your average order value, let's say your average order value is going to be something like $4,000, okay? So if I want to hit a 2x ROAS on my campaigns, I need something like a $300 max cost per scheduled call, okay? So this tells me exactly per 1,000 clicks, I'm going to get 40 calls, more or less, 25 show-ups, and 6 deals closed. Now, don't lose me here. This is going to be so crucial. If I want to hit a higher ROAS target, so let's say we're shooting for a 3x ROAS, which is what we are shooting with for our clients, I need something like a max $200 cost per scheduled call based on the rates that I currently have here. Obviously, if we close more deals, I can also be okay with a $300 cost per call. But let's say we only close 25%, okay? That tells me that my max customer acquisition cost, okay, to run on a 2x ROAS is $2,000, and on a 3x ROAS is $1,333. Now, remember this number here, $1,333, okay? And over here, $200 cost per scheduled call. And here's now exactly how we use those KPIs to scale or kill our ad sets. Okay, look, so here's what you should do. Now you gotta keep in mind that Meta has something like a machine learning system. So what I generally do whenever I launch a new ad set with a new concept, so let's say I launch a new concept, we were talking about this Amazon business coaching, my new concept is something like fulfillment. You're struggling to find good prep centers and so on. I can give you my prep center in my coaching or whatsoever. Concepts here mainly, okay? So fulfillment, warehouse, prep center is the main angle that I want to use to acquire new customers, and basically how we can do some done for you stuff here, done for you prep services and so on, okay? Now, I'm generally gonna do something like, I will put 10 different ads in one ad set. Can be less than that, to be honest. Can be something like 5 ads. But what I want to do, I want to have this main angle, warehouse, prep center, and so on, that vary the hook, vary the format. So one of them is going to be green screen, and another one is going to be split screen, and another one is going to be Loom. And now look, what's very, very important, because Meta is going to have a machine learning system. It needs data to be able to know what's working and to be able to double down on what's working. So it needs conversions, okay? Conversions are the events that you're optimizing for. So in this case, if I'm running a call funnel, I would be optimizing for the calls, for the schedules that we get from people basically scheduling a call with us. And you want to generally spend at least 3 times your ideal customer acquisition cost on a new ad set before you judge anything. Because if you're not spending enough money, you don't know if it works. And I've seen it hundreds of times that some ad sets were absolutely horrible the first day, but then after getting some conversions and more conversions, we were getting a winner. So one ad was essentially being a winner there, and this winner was carrying the entire ad set, okay, and was getting us a really, really good ROAS. So if I would have killed this too early, I would have never gotten the actual results, which is why you generally should spend something like 3 times your customer acquisition cost. And keep in mind here, we're really talking about advanced scaling strategies here, okay? This is not some beginner stuff. You would need to spend, in our example, at least $4,000 on one ad set. Now, if your ads are good, this is nearly never going to get you a very bad ROAS. So the worst case is something like you're going to break even, okay? But you're probably going to make some money back. Now, after you've spent at least $4,000, you're going to look at your cost per call. Okay, you're gonna look at your CPMs. You're gonna look at your click-through rates. you're going to look at your lead quality, obviously, at your close rates as well, okay, that come from these ads, from this concept. And then based on your KPIs, so our KPI was something like a $200 cost per call, and obviously also our customer acquisition cost. We're going to look at the actual customer acquisition cost that we're getting from there. And if it's good, if it's more or less average, then we're going to let this running. So let's say we're getting a $200 cost per schedule and something like a $1,300 customer acquisition cost, then this would even be above our average, which was $1,333. And I'm going to just let it run and scale it by 10 to 30% every single day. And every single day, I'm going to look at the 3-day ROAS, at the 3-day average ROAS. Okay, very important, because Meta is going to fluctuate. And your CPMs, when you think about CPMs, okay, the cost that you pay to participate in these auctions and to get in front of leads, they are always going to fluctuate slightly, okay, as well as your link clicks, as well as the leads that you're getting. So always use the average to make decisions. Now, okay, you can also do something like spend at least 10 times your cost per call. So in this case, I would spend something like, when our ideal cost per call is $200 from this financial model that we've looked at before, I would spend at least $2K per ad set, and after this make decisions. This really depends on how much capital you've got available. I always generally recommend to spend more, because even 10 conversions are generally not enough for Meta to actually be able to double down on what's working. So the more money you've got, the better you can actually run ads, and the more you can actually test different messages. And one of these can absolutely crush your average ROAS and get you something like even a 4 to 5x ROAS if this concept is worked. Let's say, for example, our average cost per call was something like 200, and in this case we were getting a $500 cost per call. Then I would kill this ad set after something like 3 days. Okay, after real conversions, I'm going to launch a new one and scale the existing ones that we have. And as I said, you never want to go from something like $1,000 spend to $5,000 spend in one day. So you can't just launch a campaign at 1K spend and then set it at 5K spend the next day, because you're going to re-enter the learning phase. The algo is going to get confused, okay, because Meta is essentially always predicting based on the spend that you're giving us. And if you suddenly do an entire spike in spend, then also your cost per result will spike up, because you're telling Meta, okay, I'm okay with everything that you do, just take my money and spend it on auctions. I don't care about where my cost per result is, just spike it up, okay? And this is not how you scale reliably. Okay, so my average tech setup, my average Meta campaign setup, and as I said, I'm holding nothing back here, is gonna be one campaign, ABO, I do one concept ad set here, another concept ad set here, okay? I'm gonna have something like, I always like to go with something like 10 ads per ad set, because I really want to have a lot of creative variety. And I'm gonna have something like 10 ads in this one ad set over here. And then I have another concept, so generally something like 3 concepts, and I'm split testing them against each other, okay? I'm looking at the KPIs, I'm testing them for 3 days, then I kill a concept, okay? Or I don't kill it or whatsoever. And then I scale the spend normally by something like 10 to 15% every single day. If we're hitting KPIs, if not, I'm just gonna kill it, okay? And launch a new ad set. Now, another very, very common thing is to test different market awareness levels, because there's one crucial thing that nearly nobody's gonna tell you once again, okay? That you are probably going to fatigue your market at some point. So nearly always go in market, okay? Whenever I launch a campaign with clients, I nearly always go in market and target the 4% of leads that are already aware, very, very important, of the solution that I'm selling. So let's say I'm selling an Amazon coaching. They are already aware that there are solutions out there in terms of Amazon coaching, and I instantly want to target them. So I want to target leads who are already aware of Amazon, who are already doing an Amazon business, and who are actively looking for help. So they have pain points, okay? They're actively looking for the solution, which could be something like, I help you get a better supply, I help you get better prep services, I help you get better products, or even leads. If we go more in market, leads who are actively looking for a solution, which could be something like a coaching, okay? So essentially what I do over here, I go very, very, very in market, right? Targeting leads who are aware of that. Now, what's going to happen? At some point, I'm going to fatigue this market out, because there is obviously just a limited amount of people who are looking for an Amazon wholesale coaching right now in the United States, okay? Then at some point, I'm going to need to go a bit broader with my messaging. Maybe I'm just going to target leads who are just aware of Amazon wholesale, who are just researching, okay? I always try to do this in stages, okay? Leads who are researching or who are close to getting started. Or I go even way broader and I'm gonna target leads who aren't even sold on Amazon yet. So this would be really just this corporate 9 to 5 messaging. I'm generally trying to stay away from this because we see in-market work that much better. But if I fatigue this audience and this audience and this audience, then obviously the corporate 9 to 5 audience is gonna be the broadest one, okay? That means what we generally like to do while our campaigns are still ripping, okay, in-market, while our in-market campaigns, I'm gonna call it EIM, okay, while they are ripping, let's say with 3 different ad sets or 4 different ad sets, I want to launch another out-market campaign with something like 20% of my campaign spend. Okay, you could do even less based on how much you're spending. The targets, for example, people who are researching or people who are still in a corporate 9 to 5 and who aren't even sold on Amazon yet. And then I want to split test there as well and basically test a different market awareness level. So I would test the 30% of leads who are needs convinced. Okay, they still need to get convinced that Amazon is the right thing for them, right? Now, this allows you to essentially be able to battle market fatigue because, as I said, at some point, especially if you're very, very niche, you're gonna fatigue your in-market demographic. And this is exactly the point where you wanna go a bit broader with your messaging, go more out-market, especially at a high spend, at a high daily spend, because it can happen that suddenly you fatigued out your in-market demographic, your CPMs are gonna spike up once again, click-through rates are gonna spike up, everything is just spiking up and your ROAS tanks. And then it's probably because you fatigue out the in-market demographic with your entire messaging, like with all these different ad set concepts, because they were all in market. You get my point, right? And this is exactly why you already want to split test some out-market messaging. And who knows, maybe this out-market messaging performs better than even in-market. And you got to test to see this, right? And that's exactly how you scale an ad account. And then obviously the most important thing is your data tracking, okay? You can literally not scale an ad account if you don't have clear and very clear clarity, okay, crystal clear information about what's actually going on. Where's your spend? How much cash do you collect? What's your revenue? What's your cash flows? What's your average order value? What's your cost per call? Your cost per qualified call, okay? How does the daily spend evolve and how does your ROAS evolve, right? Okay, what's your cost per started application, cost per completed application, cost per completion rate, application rate? Small bottlenecks in your funnel. And I've just seen a video about somebody who didn't even have clarity about his average and general ad costs. And this is not how you can actually scale. You need to have clarity about every single step in your funnel, okay, to identify bottlenecks. Because maybe your ad strategy isn't your problem. Maybe your landing page conversion rate is. Maybe your show up system is. Maybe your type form is, okay, right? So as you can see over here, we're mapping out for our clients every single thing. So cost per landing page view, applications, book calls by funnel. Then we see exactly which VSL variants are performing good right now. Okay, we see exactly which ads are winners right now. So top cash collected, best cash rows, best contract rows. And I even build something like my custom view of the Meta Ads Manager. So I can see my exact campaign and I can see the different ad sets that I got within this campaign. And I can see the exact cash and rows that we've generated. So what I always like to do, I like to set this to something like yesterday, last 7 days or so. And then I look at the average ROAS, at the average revenue per ad set, per ad, per campaign. And based on that, based on all the data, I make my decisions on what ads to scale and what ads not to scale. So this is no guesswork. This is fully based on data. And this is the only thing how you can actually reliably scale an ad account. By now, you've learned all the systems that I've leveraged to scale our ad account to over $250,000 in spend. And you should also understand that scaling an ad account comes with a lot of data tracking and daily actions every single day in your ad account. Excellent ad copy, okay, the right media buying decisions, and most importantly, the right ICP targeting. If you want us guys to come into your business and set this up for you, done for you, do the done for you media buying for you, and help you scale your offer to some significant amount of spend and some significant amount of ROAS, okay, even set up the entire funnels for you from webinar funnel to VSL funnel to low ticket funnel, whatever we see fit the best for your business, okay, then feel free to reach out to me. It's my Calendly link in the description or my Instagram, simon.asman, where you can contact me directly and we can see what's the best fit for your business right now. With that being said, guys, take care. I see you in the next one.